Okay, so what is a GIS? One of the first confusing things is that GIS actually includes both aspatial data and spatial data. So spatial data is about where things are located on the Earth, but then we relate to spatial data, aspatial data, things like species, age, height, DBH, all kinds of different non-spatial data, but it's related to spatial data. Okay, formal definition for GIS is really a computer system that aids in collection, maintenance, storage, analysis, blah, 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 of spatial data and other information. It's really anything where we are handling a spatial component for something located on the Earth. Um, and it could actually be on other planets. I know some folks who work on Martian GIS. So, but almost all of it's done on the Earth. Okay, so there's a lot of different elements. There's, again, the collection. We'll go out on the internet and pull down data. There's web services, GPSs, all kinds of different ways to collect data. Then we've got to maintain it, make sure there's quality control, good file naming, good file structure so we can find things, metadata. So years later, you can come back to it and find out how it was created or how other folks created data using. That includes being able to store it, which is a huge issue because of the size of a lot of the GIS data sets and complexity. And then analysis is really the core. That's what we like doing. That's the fun part for most folks. And there's just too many different analysis tools to use. We'll use some in ArcGIS, but a lot of you are prior to using R and other packages to do analysis. Then from that, we'll get output, maps, tables, reports, publications, all kinds of different outputs, and then distribute those usually on the web, but we still do paper and some other forms periodically. Now, within natural resources, what usually we're doing is we're looking at answering questions from managers, land managers or other managers. This is where most of my experience comes from. These are all things that I have had folks ask us to solve as a research question, like where to spray for weeds, where do you want to build roads, especially to have the least environmental impact, where do you want to patrol for poachers, especially now with UAVs, that's gotten more interesting, protect habitat, reintroduce species, where to harvest, monitor, where to allow off-roading, all kinds of different questions that have a spatial component to help manage mostly land, but also marine resources. Okay, so big thing with the GIS is you can ask spatially related questions. So that's really what GIS gives us that other systems don't. That could be the spatial distribution of objects, where they are, how are they distributed, are they close to each other, are they further apart, what's their relationship, are they next to, are they on top of, are they within a certain distance, and then the association. So in other words, is there a correlation? And this is something we do especially in my modeling class. Does a species live closer to water? Does it live at higher or lower elevations, higher or lower temperatures? What's the correlation so we can predict species distributions over time, and especially with anthropomorphic issues. Okay, so the process of doing GIS, doing geospatial science, is about acquiring the data. We'll do quite a bit of that in class, including creating our own and also pulling a lot of it down off the web. Evaluating data, making sure that it fits use, that's that QA/QC piece. Analysis, converting the data that most people can't use because it's in these weird file formats and things, and turning that into information that folks can use. Cartography, creation of maps so that we can publish it for folks and really make it interesting and easy to look at. Then disseminating those maps and data and other results out to the world, and then documenting for future use. We will do all of those in this class. GIS resources. There's so many resources out there. There's tons on the web, of course. That's the big one. There's still classes and books, organizations, people. Take a look around at the other folks in this class. And, you know, there's a lot of folks here that will probably be colleagues. I continue to work with folks that were graduate students either when I was a graduate student or afterwards, and we work on projects together. My website is out there. It's getting a little bit dated, but there's still good information there. The web itself has become really the resource for us to learn and find things as well as other people. Okay, so also this is a GIS class, but the bigger world of geospatial and science includes remote sensing, cartography, GPS, and then geodesy, which is the study of the shape of the earth, and others. Our program here focuses on GIS remote sensing, cartography, and GPS, and we have lots of great classes for you to go off and take, including programming, which I also recommend. All right, so to give you an idea of what GIS can do for folks is take a moment, take a look at this picture from Google Earth and guess where you are. Usually folks guess here in Humboldt County, or some folks might guess up in the mountains somewhere. What no one has ever guessed so far is that they're in the middle of Manhattan in New York City. Sorry, Central Park in the middle of New York City. So GIS can broaden your view, right? It's the forest for the trees things. We're too close to the forest. All we can see is the trees. We back out, we can see these larger patterns, see things going on. In fact, this photo has some really interesting things happening in the water. Okay, that's it for this one.